Well, for more on that, we can cross now to Washington and speak to legal analyst and former U.S. federal prosecutor Eric Lisan. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. A subpoena is a witness summons, if I've understood correctly. Just tell us how serious this is for Steve Bannon.
Well, we don't know all the details. The grand jury meets in secret, and the prosecutors, by law, as the grand jurors themselves, are forbidden from talking about it. So the only information we can really get are from the witnesses themselves, such as Steve Bannon, and they can choose to disclose or not. We don't know how many other subpoenas have really gone forward, but it is an obligation. It is a document legally compelling him to show up and testify at a certain date and time under oath on the record and answer all the questions put to him. Now, the prosecutors can release him from that, as they may have done on some other occasions, in terms of allowing him to answer their questions, say, in his offices, which is a little bit more informal. But they can also hold his feet to the fire, so to speak, and say, look, we need to have you come in. We're not satisfied with what you've given us. And you're going to have to now put it on the record, and this is going to be referred to in the future. You're going to be testifying under the penalties of perjury when you're here under this scenario. The other big difference between testifying in front of the grand jury pursuant to compulsion, pursuant to subpoena, is that he's not allowed in the grand jury's room to have his lawyer present with him, whereas the prosecutors can make accommodations to him to have his a lawyer present if it's outside the grand jury room. So this is where he may face peril, and it becomes a much more formal process for him if he is actually compelled to go all the way in front of the grand jury and testify. But right now, all we know is that he's a witness, and if he's just there to testify about what he knows, and there's no harm possibly coming to him, then he technically would have nothing to worry about.
But do you think, they wouldn't have issued Bannon with a subpoena if they thought he had something important to say, would they? And now that he has nothing to lose because he's no longer friends with the president, he'll probably say it, won't he?
It's hard to get into the minds of these people, and again, that's why it's sometimes important for prosecutors to put them on the record, so to speak, in front of the grand jury. He may be still trying to protect the president. We've got reports out that in his testimony before the House Intelligence Committee, which covers some of the same grounds as the Mueller investigation will, that he simply flat out refused to answer questions. So there they have a little bit more cumbersome process in trying to force him to testify, and they've got to get agreement from both parties. Supposedly, according to the leaked reports that we have, they did, even the Republicans joined the Democrats in issuing him a subpoena. But that will not be as efficient a way as what Mr. Mueller and his team can use in getting him to testify if he wants to play games, so to speak, and withhold some testimony from them. The only legal privilege he has is the Fifth Amendment privilege. He can assert that, but that is limited to truthful answers that he gives that incriminate or tend to incriminate himself, not third parties. So if he just wants to protect the president or somebody else, the Fifth Amendment privilege should not apply to protect him.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for sharing that with us, legal analyst Eric Lisan. Thank you so much again.